Let's get right to it. Evan and Tiki on the fan. So here's the deal.
All right, hold on, Loogie. Break it again. Again.
So, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Loogie.
So Max Scherzer did an interview with Ken Rosenthal. Now, we're familiar with that, Met fans. Remember when Max Scherzer leaked his injury in the middle of the playoffs to make us try to feel bad for him? Max Scherzer did an interview with Ken Rosenthal. It's in The Athletic, and I pay my subscription for The Athletic, so I'm very happy about that.
I.
And Max Scherzer says a lot of very interesting things. I talked to Billy, Scherzer told The Athletic. I was like, okay, we're reloading for 2024. He goes, no, we're not. Basically, our vision now is for 2025, 2026, 2025 at the earliest, more like 26. We're going to make trades around that. Scherzer goes on to say, I was like, so the team is not going to be pursuing free agents this offseason or assemble a team that can compete for a World Series next year? He said, no, we're not going to be signing the upper echelon guys. We're going to be on the smaller deals within free agency. 24 is now looking to be more of a kind of transitory year.
Well, that explains the trades, the 2025 and 2026 ETAs for some of these prospects.
Are we okay with this? Like, to my fellow man, like, is this okay? Because as much as Cohen spent on eating Scherzer's deal and Verlander's deal to get premium prospects back, which I appreciate, are we okay that Billy Eppler told Max Scherzer we're not pursuing top-level free agents for the next 2 years, and it's a transition period?
I am not a Mets fan, but as a Yankee fan, as a sports fan, I am actually okay with this. Because when I look at what the Mets tried to do, you know that it doesn't work. You can go all the way back to Washington, back in playing football, trying to sign Deion Sanders and every other star, Bruce Smith, etc., that was still available to try to win a chance. It just doesn't work. It never worked.
This didn't work. It doesn't mean it never works.
Okay.
The Marlins worked in 97.
It very rarely works. Especially when the options are a 38-year-old Max Scherzer, 37-year-old when they signed him, a 39-year-old Justin Verlander when they signed him. The margin of error is too big. And so I think that the way that you go forward, if you're Steve Cohen, you've already spent a ton of money, is build a farm system. We as Met fans, you clamor to see the kids.
But you can do
now
both.
Go see but it's hard to compete that way.
No, you can do both. If Cohen, and I hate to question how much he's spending because he's spending a fortune and I appreciate it, but if you go out and buy high-level free agents next year, you can compete. If their plan is not to, then they're not going anywhere.
Okay, but you got Brett Beatty playing third base this year. He's been pretty good.
Well,
I mean,
I'm not dumping on him. He's not had a great year. Okay. He deserves more time.
Okay,
in fairness,
exactly. So, but he's your starting third baseman, especially after you move Escobar.
Yeah,
he's your starting third baseman.
Yeah,
you got Starling Marte, who's got a couple more years left. It feels like he's been unavailable all year long. Mm-hmm. I know that's not necessarily the case, but when you try to win in a short little window, like these 2 or 3 year window, anything that goes wrong, meaning an inexperienced third baseman or an injury in right field, it blows everything up, and it makes it feel like you wasted your money. And so that methodology, it has to go out the window because it didn't work for them, and to just do it again doesn't make any sense.
What if they're just muddying? If Max Scherzer here is muddying the water, he's so miserable and angry at the way things unfolded at the end with the Mets that this is his way of sending the message to Ohtani in his camp, stay far, far away, and sabotaging the Mets from going in on Ohtani.
I know that we
Why
don't
would
like.
he do that?
Why not? He hates the Mets.
Does he hate the Mets?
He clearly wasn't happy at the end.
Why would he hate the Mets?
I don't think he hates the Mets. I think the likelier conspiracy is that the Mets lied to him. That's the likelier conspiracy is that Billy Eppler told him something that's not true to get him to waive his no-trade clause so they could trade him away. Now, if you want to sell me on that, sure, I guess. I don't think Max is lying, though, about what he heard. And one more addition to this. After Eppler talked to Max about the club's plan, Scherzer says to Billy, I got to hear this from Steve. This is a major change in the organizational direction. Scherzer goes to Cohen, met with Cohen, or at least spoke to him. Cohen said, quote, Exactly the same thing, kind of verbatim. At that point, Scherzer gave the Mets permission to trade him, and the next day, he's a Texas Ranger. If he had, Scherzer goes on, if he had said, or they had said, we're going to hold on to all 24 pieces, that would have been a different story. But they were saying, no, we're going to be moving players that are under contract for 2024 as well before the deadline. We walked through some players I had in mind that would be that. It turned out it was much more extensive than that. The players we ended up talking about who are free agents after 24, and they were more substantial names. Any player who is a free agent after 2024 at the right price could be moved at the deadline.
Does that include Pete Alonso?
Of course. So this message from Scherzer and from Ken Rosenthal, but really from Scherzer, it's his words, he's being interviewed, is that they could trade everybody, including Pete Alonso. I am not for that. I don't know if I need to make that clear.
They're not trading Lindor.
Well,
they're not trading.
Lindor doesn't fit this because he's under contract until 2034.
After 2024. I see. He
Joking,
also goes
but
on to say, I'm not itching to jump ship. I don't have to chase the ring. I made a 3-year commitment to New York. I would honor that if we were going to try and win in 2024.
Right.
Well, at least we found the bat the Yankees should be going after in the next hour.
Yeah, Pete Alonso?
Yeah, let's go.
Sure. That Scherzer says their vision was completely different from what everybody in the clubhouse had thought. All the players had a vision of we reload for 2024. That was no longer the case. Not only the players, we had that vision. I had that vision until, I guess, about 7 minutes ago. It was a potential fear, but unless you think Scherzer's lying or they lied to him, the Mets are rebuilding, and Billy Eppler lied to all of us on Sunday when he said it's a repurposing.
When Steve Cohen bought this team, we thought we would never hear the word rebuild ever again. It was going to be reload. Now it's rebuild a couple years in. So that's bullcrap.
Do you think every Met fan is upset about this?
Every single one of them.
Why?
Because we sat through the Wilpon nonsense.
Okay, but the Wilpon nonsense was not spending money and not doing anything.
Right, but that's what they're not doing. They're not going to spend money. They basically said, hey, we screwed up.
They've been spending money for the last 3 years.
But now they're backing off. Now they're saying we don't want to spend money. We want to rebuild. We want to, do all this.
No, repurpose.
Whatever
repurpose.
word you want to use.
But repurposing is towards the farm system, which again is really smart long term.
Sure.
I think we all understand that.
100%.
But
I
if
think
they're not going to, if they're
ahead.
not going to buy pitching, Tiki, they're not winning next year. And the message that they gave to Max Scherzer was, yeah, we're not going after Julio Urias. In fact, we may trade Pete Alonso. That's what they told Max Scherzer.
You can forget Ohtani now.
I mean,
right?
the money of an Ohtani is something to be considered. And I think if they can make a pitch to Shohei Ohtani.
What's the pitch?
I don't know.
There's no pitch.
That's Billy Epler's job.
But Tiki,
Help us rebuild.
Tiki,
Yes.
no.
Yeah, Tiki.
You're not
Yes.
selling that to Shohei Ohtani.
We got good pieces. We got Pete Alonso. We got
No.
Francisco Lindor.
Well,
Whether you love him or hate him.
You may not
I
have
love the
Pete
kid.
Alonso because you may trade him.
They're not trading Pete Alonso.
You can't say
There's
to
no
Shohei
way they're
Ohtani, come here, the first 2 years are going to suck. But don't worry, in
But
2026
that's
we'll
From
find
what I heard, they're not trading. They're not trying to trade Pete Alonso, but they're listening to Pete Alonso. Because what happens is if you get to this point next year, the trade deadline in 2024, and the Mets are wherever, and you know you're not going to get an easy long-term deal with Pete Alonso, then you can move him. So the trade of Pete Alonso is not, let's trade Pete Alonso now.
But Pete Alonso, to me, and I don't know if every Met fan agrees with this, is the kind of guy you just pay. He's your guy. He's David Wright. And that contract, we all know did not work out. But they had to keep David Wright. They have to keep Pete Alonso. You think I was crazy about DeGrom? You think I was passionate about that? Moving on from Pete Alonso is lunacy. It's lunacy from a baseball sense because how are you going to replace this power? He's just the best, most reliable slugger in baseball. Guy goes out there and plays every single day.
Shohei Ohtani.
And then you're taking our guy, a guy they developed, a guy who should spend 15 years here, and a guy who should own every record in the history books.
So what's
not that difficult to do, by the way.
What if it's the right deal?
What's the right deal?
I don't know.
Prospects?
I don't know. Not prospects, but you move Pete Alonso and say you get back a top-end pitcher, whoever that may be.
No.
Is it not the right deal?
No.
Regardless of what the deal is.
It's not regardless because I'm sure there's some deal I say yes to, but in all likelihood, it is prospects. Like Sean Morash, rightfully so, said, hey, I'm a Yankee fan. Let's go. Let's get Pete. What the hell could you possibly offer that's going to make me say yes?
Jason Dominguez?
No. Try again.
Clark Schmidt
No.
and Jason Dominguez?
No. No. No and no.
Hey, Evan.
How about Florial?
What about the notion that there is a divide in the clubhouse? Right? I'm going to just say it. There's Team Lindor and there's Team Alonso. We've
don't
seen
buy
it.
that.
You don't think McNeil and Lindor still have heat? He didn't get in the car.
No.
The dopey raccoon thing. We know McNeil and Alonso are tight. Why is Daniel Vollback around? Because he's, Alonso's drinking buddy.
I don't buy it.
Okay.
I don't buy it. I don't buy that.
Just
This
throwing that out
sounds
there.
like a team that had such a bad year that they're reevaluating everything, which to a degree I understand. And look, you want to listen on trades? Fine. You should listen on anybody.
Absolutely.
All right,
and
listen
that's
on
all I'm
anybody.
saying. So I think what Max is, maybe he's conflating. He's hearing one thing and speculating in something else. Because, people are going to call them on Pete Alonso because Pete Alonso is a free agent in 2024. And I haven't heard anything about a long-term deal with Pete Alonso. Have you?
No, and that's bothered me.
Exactly.
I
So
just
maybe
don't-
they're not as interested.
I just don't like Max Scherzer saying, hey, if they had said we're looking to compete in 2024, I wasn't itching to get out of New York. I was happy. I'm good. They told Max Scherzer, whether it was a lie or not, tell me, they told Max Scherzer, we're probably not competing in 2024, and we're not buying high-end starting pitchers
All right, let me take you
to go after
Let me
it.
take you on a little road for a second.
Go ahead.
When Jacob deGrom left and he ends up in Texas, and it was all because they wanted to offer him a short, I guess it was a 3-year deal.
It was a short-term deal,
A
yes.
short-term deal as opposed to a longer five-term deal. And he decides to leave and goes to Texas. I said, this is a masterclass on how to get rid of somebody your fan base doesn't want you to get rid of. It was beautiful. Beautifully done.
You're right.
Why are they not doing the exact same thing with Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander?
So they lied to him.
They're performing a masterclass on how to get rid of the player
Perfect.
that the fan
Tiki,
base does not want you to get rid of.
If that's true,
I know they did that with Jacob deGrom.
Okay,
so
so
I'm assuming they did it again.
so if they're lying to Max Scherzer,
Then who cares? Max Scherzer's no longer your property.
Tiki, I agree, then great. But for now, I'm a face value guy. Like I have no reason to believe that Billy Eppler and Steve Cohen said, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to tell Max Scherzer that we're not interested in competing in 24 and 25.
Yes.
Just so he says yes to a trade. And I brought
Yes,
that up earlier.
just like we told Jacob deGrom that
Okay.
we only believe you can play 3 more years.
If that's the conspiracy, that makes me feel better. But for now, I'm under the impression
Well, I
they
think-
told Max the truth.
Well, I think
and the Mets are going to tell our fan, they're going to tell all of us, hey, sorry, guys, not really going to be too
But I
good
think
next
at
year.
this point, it's just a matter of what we want to believe and accept, right? What, as a Met fan, what would you rather do? Would you rather get mad at your owners because they let all of this talent leave and the only thing we got back was prospects? Or would you rather say, you know what, I'm going to trust my owner. I'm going to trust my general manager. And I believe that they manipulated this situation, similar to what they did with Jacob deGrom, so that they could move on from a mistake. Not deGrom was a mistake, but he was not their future. To move on from someone the fan base believed that they needed so badly, but you had to kind of save face. That's what I feel like.
So
they're
they
doing.
lied to Max Scherzer.
If you want to say lied, fine. Did they manipulate?
They fibbed.
Did they manipulate his understanding so that he becomes the fall guy? Absolutely.
Yeah, but he's not the fall guy anymore. My anger, and I think Met fans' anger, is going to be more towards Billy and Steve saying, what the hell's going on?
But does that matter? Does it matter?
Does it matter to who?
Does it matter if they get what they ultimately believe is right for the organization, which is move on from Max Scherzer, who has not been great this year?
Here's the question. Is Billy Eppler coming on the show tomorrow, Logie? Is he coming on Thursday? Is he coming on?
I can't confirm if he's coming on or not.
Okay. He will be asked directly, whether it's from me, Tiki, or anybody else, are you going to be aggressive in free agency to win in 2024? And we will know within 5 seconds of that answer on how he wants to answer it, because he may not answer it, but answer it.
Yeah.
We'll know. Because, yes, it's possible this is a masterclass. This is possible that they lied to Scherzer. Scherzer's now telling us what he heard, and it's not what any Met fan wants to hear. There's no Met fan, as much as you may like the rebuilding or like the repurposing or like the prospects they acquired, there's no Met fan that wants to hear their big move is Alex Wood on a 1-year contract next year. There's no Met fan who wants that.
Evan, was this not necessary?
Was what not necessary?
What's happening right now? Was it necessary?
No, I don't think it necessarily was.
Evan, come on now.
What?
This was necessary.
Trading Scherzer and Verlander?
No. Getting rid of this heavy bag that you're holding. with these guys. It was necessary. Accept it. I know you want to be upset about it. I can see the smile, the smirk, trying to ink on your face.
I ain't smiling.
Yeah, I can see it.
I'm not happy about anything right now.
You want to. This was necessary. This needed to happen. And I got to give Billy Eppler and Steve Cohen credit for making it happen. It was not going to work with Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander. They had to move on from them, and they both had no trade clauses. And so they could have easily just sat here, played like crap, and collected $43 million over the next 2 seasons and $35 for Verlander in 2025 and gone nowhere. At least now they get to start to try to go someplace else. Evan, this was necessary.
You're trying to talk me off a ledge 6 days into our show together.
I'm just telling you, this was necessary. And when you stop and think about it, and you have a nice glass of wine with your wife this afternoon, this evening, you're going to say, you know what? Tiki was right. This was necessary.
We'll get to some of your Met calls in reaction to all this. Maybe you're with me, maybe you're against me. I don't know what the hell you're thinking, but obviously we've been hit with a lot in the last few hours. Verlander's going to the Astros, and Scherzer told us that the Mets aren't going to try to win in 2024 and 2025. Your calls, the latest on the Yankees with an hour to go to the trade deadline, and obviously a quick Cinco de Five coming up in just a few minutes right here on The Fan.